Yeah, Ghost Gamer site's quite laggy for me at the moment.
Yeah, it's breaking. Alright guys, and we are back. We're going to be showing, it looks like we have EHOME versus SGC. Thank you for your patience throughout some of these issues. Obviously, we would like everything to be completely perfect, but, you know, things do happen. Let's go ahead and jump straight into the game. Do you have your stream up, my friend?
Absolutely, man. I'm looking at this band's picks as we speak.
Right.
What time and pick are you at the moment?
I'm at about 15 seconds left, and they have Windrunner up, and it is time for SGC. I'm, of course, Gerald Minara. With me is GG. With me is Gods. We are GhostOfGamers.net, and it looks like we're going to see a couple picks here. I'll go ahead and let you talk a little bit about the picks and expectations you have for this match.
Yep, no problem. Looking at the bans, we saw the Anti-Mage Lich being banned by the SGC team there on the Dire. We've got on the Radiant, can't say Sentinel Scourge, I'm constantly thinking, what do I say, what do I say?
Those are copyrighted.
Yeah, Chen and Prophet being banned, they've got the first pick, and no surprise there with too many of the bans. The Chen, not something you see being banned all that often. You're more often than not seeing stuff like the Ancient Apparition or the Night Stalker being banned, and they actually first pick that Night Stalker. So Night Stalker, one of those heroes in Dota 2, which is just oh so strong. And if you can get up those early levels, early farm, can just basically set the tempo and be a very aggressive ganking hero, and a hero that's really fun to see in the Dota 2 game. The Dire SGC, they're going with some more sort of what you'd probably call safe picks, with the Tide and Windrunner being picked up. The Tide you saw last game not really paying off, because it is just a very passive hero. It just sort of sits back, waits for that level 6, can't just sort of roam around, can't just go off ganking. So it does have to be played fairly passively, and you are often just reacting to your opponents, which can be the position you want to be in at sometimes, but other times when you get behind, you don't want to just be constantly reacting if you don't have some kind of late game carry, which was kind of Virus's fault last game. They were reacting. They were reacting to Monkey, but at the same time they were reacting to a team that had a better late game, and they were just letting these carry heroes set the tempo of the game, which basically never allowed them to have any control over the game. We do see a Venomancer and Marana being second and third picked by EHOME. EHOME, obviously from China, just one of the top teams in Dota of all time. I mean, they need no introduction really. Obviously, it's not all the same players, but the majority, the brand name's still there. And they are not a team to be taken lightly. So this is their first game here. The Venomancer, the Marana, probably going to see Venomancer played as support. Just saying that because they've already got the Marana, the Night Stalker, two heroes that do need a bit of farm. And Venomancer can just be very useful with minimal items. At the same time, you get some items on him, get him to tank up. He can also have a big impact with sort of the Arcane Boots and Ag Scepter, a Pipe Up. He can do fairly huge amounts of damage. And the Witch Doctor, very unusual third pick coming out from the Dire SGC. Going to be being played as a support hero, but just interesting to see that being picked up instead of something like over a Vengeful Spirit or something, which is probably the more pick.
Now I want to talk a little bit, if I can slip in here. I want to talk a little bit about the two bans that we saw for the Dire here for SGC, Storm Spirit and Tinker. Storm Spirit, I'm not sure. Is this something where they're reacting to EHOME's play style? Is Storm Spirit a common ban? My understanding is that not so much.
It's not so much a common ban or pick, but when you get to the second ban stage, you get to the point where you're not going to be banning the top picks. You're going to be banning heroes that your opponents like to use, stuff that actually fits into their lineup as opposed to the top picks. And EHOME love to use the Storm Spirit, and you put that in a lineup with a Night Stalker. They've just got such great ganking, such great map control, and can just basically move around the map, shutting down the SGC carries with such ease, which is probably partly why they banned it. And both Storm Spirit and Tinker are two heroes that you see on the EHOME team, exclamation mark, that's also known as Die. He plays the Storm Spirit as well as Tinker. They're sort of two of his trademark heroes. As well as Lion. He loves to solo. He's basically their solo mid player usually. So they are sort of respect bans in that sense.
Right.
Which is why you do see them being taken out there. Anything else you want to comment on there? I'm not quite sure where you are in this pick ban stage. I don't want to spoil anything.
Well, we just saw Earthshaker and Drow being picked up very, very quickly. Okay. Weaver for the Dire, and the Dire in their bonus time here at about minute and 22 seconds left. The thing I'm interested in is Drow being picked up after Night Stalker, after Mirana, giving them 3 heroes that sort of really need that farm. You're right about the Venomancer being a support hero, but why Drow? How does that fit into the lineup? How do you think that's going to fit into the EHOME strategy?
I think a lot of it's because the Silence will be very useful in taking out that Weaver. And not to mention the fact that Scourge don't have a very aggressive ganking lineup, and that's probably where Drow hasn't been very common pick as of late, because it just gets shut down, ganked so easily. It doesn't have any sort of escape mechanisms like your popular carries, your Weaver, your Anti-Mage, which can blink Shikuchi out. Drow just has no way to stay alive. But with the Scourge team, with the Tide Witch Doctor, those are 2 heroes that don't really gank a whole lot. They just play very passively, so that's basically going to allow Drow to actually have a place in this game. And as far as having the Night Stalker and Priestess already there, Drow's going to be their main carry, and Priestess, Night Stalker are going to be probably seen as secondary carries, and the Night Stalker probably not going to even get a whole lot of farm in this game, just going to be played as a ganker. Probably will get a solo lane, but they're not going to be too worried about getting Night Stalker farmed up. They're just going to want him to get levels early on, and then just start ganking, and get Drow farmed up is going to be their main goal here.
Absolutely. So we'll see that tri-lane top, probably in the form of Night Stalker, Earthshaker, and Venomancer. And it looks like that we're actually going to see all 5 members of the Radiant headed to the top, looking for maybe an early first blood.
Yeah, I imagine they're looking for an early first blood. It's going to be a Earthshaker and Venomancer as the sort of support gankers in the tri-lane. They're probably going to both be supporting that Drow, whether it's at top or bottom. They'll probably prefer to have Drow at bottom just because it's a bit safer. It's the closer lane, and you're not going to be so far away from your tower. But they could always put it top lane because it is a tri-lane, and they do have a lot of survivability with the ES and Veno support. Priestess and Night Stalker. We're going to see Night Stalker at mid, I imagine, and Priestess soloing probably the top lane. Scourge picking a Slardar, which is an interesting last pick there, which basically means Weaver's going to be soloing the side lane, I want to say, which could be good or bad news, depending. If he's up against a tri-lane, it means Weaver's not going to get very far, and they're going to be relying so much on this Slardar to carry. But if Weaver's going to be solo against solo, which looks like it's Weaver's soloing top by the looks of it.
Yeah, I think it looks like we're going to see a 2-1-2 lane setup for EHOME.
Slardar is soloing mid. Am I seeing this right?
Yeah, that's... I mean, I don't see that Slardar is going to match up all that well against Night Stalker in a one-on-one scenario mid.
He won't do badly. I think that's why they thought it's melee hero versus
First Blood bottom. Drow Ranger going down to Windrunner, Witch Doctor with that double damage, and Tidehunter. We did not get a shot of that, unfortunately, but... sorry, go ahead. Continue on.
I think that's why they wanted the Slardar in the mid lane rather than the tri-lane, because this tri-lane with the Windrunner, if you had Windrunner at mid and Slardar at bottom, this tri-lane just would not have much killing power, because Slardar is a melee hero, and Windrunner with the harass can just do so much more damage with the gush and cast coming out from Witch Doctors. So I can see what SGC are doing here, and it may just work out if Slardar can just stay alive, get levels, and maybe can actually compete with farm for Night Stalker at mid, so not the worst matchup for him.
Absolutely. Now, I mean, if you had to pick a single hero that, not talking about specifically to this composition, but against Night Stalker to mid, what are some of the weaknesses that Night Stalker has? It is a mid hero. We obviously see him mid a lot as a solo. Given the opportunity, what would you go with?
I mean, he's a melee hero, so anything ranged, anything that can harass him out farm is obviously ideal. I mean, soloing something like a Venomancer mid can just harass him so much and really keep him away from creeps. I mean, he's still at mid lane, regardless of what you put there. The opposing hero is always going to be getting experience. That's kind of the benefit of putting a hero mid, is that the 2 towers at mid are so close together, so you're always going to be in experience range as opposed to those side lanes. So the main thing is who's getting more farm and who's getting the runes. You want something that can harass the Night Stalker, something like a Venomancer, or something that can push down the tower quickly like a Pugner. So if you're blasting creep waves, out-farming him with a Pugner, and then you can also basically rune control as well by pushing the wave, not allowing Night Stalker to get any runes, because he's got to keep defending his tower. So something like a Pugner can do very well against Night Stalker as well.
Now down in the bottom lane, we do see Tidehunter with that invisibility. He is sort of looking for an opportunity to maybe get another kill here.
I think Radiant were aware of it. I think they saw that happen.
They seem to be acting like they're aware of it. So
yeah,
Gush we are going to see him coming out with Gush. Quick ward by Venomancer will push him back, and Drow just has to use a Tango. So no big loss there.
Yeah. SGC are basically focusing all their efforts on this bottom lane, which is okay. I mean, they're going to stop Drow from farming, but once again, this could be a similar situation to Monkey versus Virus, where they focus all their efforts on stopping Anti-Mage from farming. Meanwhile, there was a Priestess getting ridiculously farmed and just getting kill after kill in the side lane, and that's going to be they have to make sure that those other heroes of EHOME don't get too out of control. But they will be able to. Wow, they pick up another kill on Drow, so. I'm not sure if you're quite there. I'm at 338.
Yeah, I'm at 340 right now. So we're pretty much synced. Perfect.
Yeah.
Keep the lag away.
This is a fair.
Drow Ranger with teleporting back in right away, ASAP, getting back down there and trying to continue farming. Slider taking a lot of damage from the nuking here. I think Night Stalker's done a better job of having control of those runes, and it shows because he's got that bottle.
But at the same time, I think Tide's actually gotten the last 2 runes. Tide got an Invis bot at 2 minutes, and there's another Invis bot which Tide's actually controlling, but Slider's going to be the one picking it up.
Yeah, you're right. Absolutely. Sorry, mistake on my part. He must be refilling with that courier of his.
Yeah, or just hasn't used any charges yet. But no, so Nightstalker unable to get those runes because the Tidehunter, every time it gets near every 2 minutes, is just going to be camping at that bottom rune, and all Slider has to do is camp at top, and then they pretty much are assured of getting it one way or another.
Now up in the top lane, it looks like Weaver did get forced back to heal. Currently, the score is is 2-0 with the Dire actually taking a very early lead. That bottom lane posing a little bit of trouble for that Drow. And, like you said, it's a question of, is SGC going to be able to find the responses, to that mid lane, to that top lane, and not fall behind?
Yeah. I think a lot is resting on this Night Stalker for EHOME. I mean, EHOME are getting absolutely destroyed at bottom lane. Drow doesn't even have enough gold to buy more Tangos or Salves. You see, Drow doesn't have any Tangos or Salves because he died and had to buy a TP, didn't have gold for any more regen, and just TP'd back in, and as soon as Drow gets harassed, he's going to be basically forced out of lane because she has no regen.
Right.
So it's going to be up to this Night Stalker too. Once it gets nighttime, once Night Stalker hits level 7, to just head bottom and help this Drow farm, and hopefully get some kills for EHOME, as they are at the moment they're behind.
Right, and we see it is going to tick over to night in about 10 seconds or so.
Yep.
Never mind, in about 2 seconds or so. Forgot it actually ticks over early. Night Stalker, 3 points into that Hunter in the Night, 3 points into the Void. He does have that freedom to go around and get things done. How will he use it, though? Wisely retreating. He sees the Witch Doctor pick up that invisibility, so good play there, backing off. We may see another kill down here in the bottom lane. That invisible Witch Doctor could be a serious problem here. It looks like Drow Ranger and her escort are going to move out and do that creep pull. Will the Dire respond? I think they should.
I imagine Night Stalker's going to maybe head bottom now, as it is now nighttime.
Right.
Well, he's heading back mid, but he needs to help bottom out. He needs to get involved soon because EHOME, if things keep going as they are now, it's going to get worse and worse for them.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, when I'm playing Night Stalker and I see that it's night, I immediately go to a lane and farm.
As you do.
I think that's something that they talked about on a Badcast at one point. Down here bottom, we do see it looks like Venomancer aware of the potential for trouble there. It looks to me like the Dire is playing it very safe. SGC not really sure if Night Stalker is going to react, and they're just trying to be a little more cautious than they need to.
ES is actually TP'd in bottom, so he's preparing for some aggression from this SGC side and going to be ready for anything coming their way, as it looks like Venomancer going out very far. Needs to be careful here.
I think that's a little bit of an overextension there. Shackle Shot just barely missing that angle on the tree.
If there was a Gush or a Shackle there, it would have been a dead Venomancer, and Venomancer was nowhere near the ES or the Drow, so lucky there. That was definitely not where Venomancer wanted to be positioned.
No. Slardar maybe going to catch a Venom Spray from that Venomancer. Venomancer with enough mana. Oh, Gush coming in. Here comes Tidehunter. Venom Spray fired off. It is gonna. We're going to see Slardar maybe go down. Yes, he is going to go down. And Night Stalker suddenly in the fray. Doing a lot of damage. Wow, double kill.
And Venomancer coming back in, just kiting with that haste rune as well. Oh no.
No. Darn.
SGC can't believe
Windrunner absolutely toast there. Earthshaker actually taking the kill. Maybe not totally necessary there, but they wanted to make sure that she did not get away with her Windrun ability. Trapping that Night Stalker for a little while, and you know, Tidehunter is going to retreat and probably shop and heal. Suddenly things are looking a little better.
That's one of those sort of small moments, small things that make a huge difference. One haste rune, if the SGC had killed that Venomancer and not let him get that haste rune, it would have been a completely different fight. If they had that haste rune on Slardar, so it could have been very different if that had just been something slightly different there.
Absolutely. And well, I also kind of feel like Tidehunter shouldn't have been worrying about the Veno. Like, should have been shifting his attention towards the Night Stalker. Do you think that would have been more effective, or?
Oh, absolutely. As soon as Venomancer picks up that haste ring, they probably can't kill him unless he really overextends, which is he was extending pretty far, but obviously surviving with sort of like 50 HP. One more hit would have actually killed him, but I think with a haste rune, these pro players know exactly what their limits are, and they will be doing as much damage as possible, especially when they get something like a haste rune and they can just stay in the fight and then leave at the very last second, which is what you saw Venomancer doing there, and basically just baited the entire SGC team. If they just backed off, they could have just had no deaths there, but losing 3 heroes there was definitely got rid of any advantage they may have had to begin with.
Right, and especially if they're losing 2 of those kills to that Night Stalker, which, you know, as you said, he's suddenly become the pivot point for the game right now, because he is their only like carry-related hero that, you know, was soloing, so suddenly everything's sort of foisted onto his shoulders, and they need to not be giving him kills. You know, he's the last hero they want to be giving kills at this point. Now,
yeah, I mean, Night Stalker gets a good early game. That's going to be very bad for SGC. They're probably more worried about Night Stalker having a good early game than Drow, because Drow can always catch up later, but Night Stalker needs to be doing well from the start.
Right, he's a very binary hero, is sort of how I like to describe him. Is if he can get that momentum rolling, like in the beginning, like 8 minutes of the game, through that first night, he's got a lot of potential. But if they're able to shut him down, that spells bad things. Now, one thing I did want to talk about, but we'll hold that thought. Tidehunter actually getting caught here, eating a big stun from the Earthshaker. Night Stalker teleporting in. He is going to take out this Windrunner, no problem. Oh, maybe not. Does he have enough mana to nuke? I think the answer is yes. Just needs to come off cooldown. Down she goes. Tidehunter retreating into the...
Bottom arrow. Going to hit Tide. The bottom arrow actually hit that Tide. And
oh, did it really? Wow. Great play by the Potom, taking out that Tidehunter with the help of Night Stalker. He gets another kill. That's another double kill for him. And yeah, this is exactly SGC's worst fears coming true. They've got to deal with that Night Stalker that's picking up kills and getting that farm, and it's just going to be very troublesome for them.
And Tidehunter probably... I don't know if Tide's even level 6 yet, so when Tidehunter has that Ravage, SGC will be able to do a bit more to be defensive. But as said, they don't want to just keep being defensive. With the Priestess, Night Stalker, and Drow, I mean, 3 sort of... Well, 1 carry hero and 2 semi-carries there. That's going to be bad for them if they're just playing defensive. And as you saw with Virus, you can't just sit back and react to your opponents using that Tide Ravage. You're not going to be able to... It's not going to go well for you.
Absolutely. Tide actually only level 5 right now. One pro tip, if you look up at the bars at the top, if they have a little rhombus, they are level 6 because they have their ultimate. Or they've got their ultimate, but they don't have one.
Okay.
So that's their ultimate status. If you're ever wondering, it looks like Night Stalker is running around invisible here. It is daytime now. He does have that ultimate though, so he may be able to get in here. But I think that Slardar with double damage is going to make him very, very hesitant to get into too much trouble here. No, are we going to see a reaction from SGC? No, they are not going to react. Tidehunter getting away. He does have about 200 health left, but
Night Stalker wants to go in.
yeah, he does because he senses a kill there. Tidehunter going to go ahead and teleport out. It's a little bit of tunnel vision there from Witch Doctor and Slardar, where they're just sitting there staring at the tower, waiting for it to die. Witch Doctor gonna go down? Maybe no. He is able to get away. Slardar sort of providing a disincentive for Night Stalker to nuke. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, Slardar's, I mean, as said, SGC just playing defensive. I mean, look at Slardar, how Slardar's been used. He's just been constantly protecting his teammates, keeping his teammates alive, rather than getting kills for his team. So, just gonna... I think SGC are just going to get further and further behind, much like Virus did last game at this rate.
Yeah, absolutely true. And I mean, if we look at the gold amounts, if we look at the creep counts, you know, Radiant's starting to get a little bit of a lead. Right, and SGC's got the gold lead right now. They're up about 1,400 gold.
Yep. With that, it's because of that tower kill. That tower kill gets them like 200 each, so that's about 1k gold. It'd be pretty much even if not for that tower, I'd say.
Right.
But SGC with a slight CS lead by the looks of it, with 53, 47, and 62, whereas the Radiant have just 60 and I think someone around 40. But EHOME, I don't think they're too worried at the moment. They've got a nice mid-game lineup with the Priestess and Night Stalker. Although we do see Earthshaker getting found and taken out there.
Yeah, great play by SGC there. You know, getting in there, taking him out. They could pretty easily dive this tower and take out that Drow. She is retreating a little. She's going to have to retreat a lot more, but reinforcements coming in. No ultimate on that Night Stalker, and they've got a while till night though. So
I think that's the main worry for EHOME here is this Drow. I mean, sure, Drow was never going to farm up against the tri-lane, but Drow is doing a lot worse than they would have hoped at this point, I'd say. So maybe that could be what SGC... The one reason this game is maybe going to be quite close, because Drow will just get those items up so slowly here.
Yeah, and we are going to see Night Stalker get caught here. SGC actually really stepping up, doing exactly what they need to be doing to make sure that they're able to stay in this game. They bring it up to 6-5 with only a 1-kill lead now for the Radiant, for EHOME.
That's a huge kill as well, and they're getting a tier 1 tower out of it. That's going to give them an even bigger gold advantage because of that. So
absolutely. That's surprising. I'm a little surprised that Night Stalker got caught like that.
I mean, as far as kills go, they'd probably rather kill on Night Stalker than the Drow at this point. I mean, Drow's already been shut down, at least for now, but Night Stalker's the bigger issue at the moment, so getting a kill on him is definitely going to be something I'm happy about. Although, Weaver at top dying to Solo Priestess, that was about like a minute or two ago, was not something that they're going to be happy about.
Yeah, that shouldn't be happening. Ever. Yeah. Now, Smokeout actually on the Dire team, they are going to move in here. They're going to catch that Drow again, and she's just going to explode. They might even be able to get... Venomancer should not be in here. That ultimate... Yeah, there's the interrupt. He is invisible, but that invisibility will not last forever. They've got to be hanging around looking for him. Are they going to bump into him? No, they are going to see him, though. He does get ultimate. There's the gush. Oh, no. Venomancer going down here, and... really, SGC, I think it's safe to say, is in the lead and is beginning to widen their lead.
Yeah, absolutely. These last few minutes have been all SGC. I mean, killing the Night Stalker, killing the Drow, and now killing that Venomancer, and taking out the mid-tier 1 tower. I mean, we've yet to see EHOME take down a single tower. And SGC just really playing very well at the moment.
Yeah, you know, if you look at all the metrics, is they're winning in gold earned, they're winning in experience, I suspect. They're getting better CS, and we're going to see Night Stalker die here maybe as well. If Slardar pops that, yeah, there's the stun. That ultimate is going to go out. It's not going to be quite enough. I don't think they're going to get Earthshaker. He is going to be able to retreat, but they might get Witch Doctor in exchange.
You have to be careful. Time
no, they're not even going to get Witch Doctor. Big shackle on Mirana. Mirana going to go down here. Slaughter going to interrupt on that Drow, and Drow may be going down too. Who is this team, and what have they done with EHOME?
I don't know. Those shackle shots from Windrunner were just insane. Another shackle shot hits the ES.
Huge Earthshaker going down again. Are they going to get a full genocide here? They are out of mana, so it's probably not likely. But wow, ridiculous play for SGC right now.
Yeah, Windrunner hit 3 big shackle shots that fight. First, the one on the Night Stalker, when Night Stalker got shackled to a creep and they picked off Night Stalker, then shackled the Mirana to some other hero, and then that shackle shot on the ES at the end. So 3 big shackle shots in one fight. I mean, normally you can talk about 1 big shackle shot, but there was 3.
Right.
So Windrunner really just playing sensational right there in that fight.
And you know what's amazing? We didn't even see an ultimate coming out of that Tidehunter. Like, he didn't...
Yeah.
He has Ravage. It was on cooldown, I think.
Yeah, I think it was a bit low in mana as well at the same time, so I'm not quite sure.
But, you know, I think what's really interesting there is, you know, EHOME, obviously the heavy favor goes to bet based on, you know, everyone's expectations and knowledge of these teams. And when you look at a situation like that where, like, the underdog is winning, you expect to say, EHOME's making mistakes or whatever. I don't know that that's really true in this case. Like, it looks like SGC is just outplaying them. Is those shackle shots, that overall coordination there is very, very tight.
Oh, absolutely. SGC I think EHOME didn't expect SGC just to use their draft like this. They expected something. They expected a bottom lane where Drow could farm up. They expected maybe Weaver to be soloing at bottom, and then the Scourge trialing with like a Slardar, Jewel, or Trilane at top. They didn't expect to have this aggressive lane at bottom where Drow just gets completely shut down. And we are going to see them go for Roshan with that amp damage. Roshan just goes down so quickly.
Now they saw them going past, I think. So I think EHOME saw them going past. They may not have noticed on the minimap though. Or they may have just expected they were shuffling over to bottom because there was no reaction from EHOME, not even like a cursory check.
Yeah, that ward doesn't quite see... You can see into the river, but you can't see whether they go into the Roche Pit or whether or not they head just to those creeps.
Right. So, and that's a little bit of misplacement, I think. Like, it should be forward. Or do you think they're putting it backwards to avoid counter warding? Or no, is there...
It's one of those things you're not... Or, yeah, it's a lot easier to ward that spot because you don't have to go into the river. If you walk into the river, you can always get picked off. And you're obviously not always expecting teams to take Roshan at 20 minutes in a game like this. Not really on the top of your mind. Or if it's more one of those things, if you see 5 heroes go missing, you say, hey, they may be Roshan, let's scout it. So that you'd send your Venomant to go pop down a ward nearby and see if they're there.
Now, I think this Night Stalker is going to get that Witch Doctor, but he may go down in exchange. He's going to run straight into Tidehunter. Tidehunter's got that gush up. He's got his ultimate ready. Tidehunter not opting not to use it. I don't think they would have been able to kill him. But
yeah, Lano was running in, but Night Stalker is fairly tanky and just more importantly, just very fast.
Yes.
And it looks like Slardar almost finishing that BKB. Going to be going for that first. Maybe look for a Blink Dagger afterwards. But with a Blink Dagger and BKB, Slardar will just be doing so much damage. Just be able to initiate in and just really wreak havoc.
Absolutely. Up in the top lane, we didn't get a shot of it, but big gank attempt on the Weaver. He did wiggle back into the trees. For those of you wondering why we're missing some of these kills and so on, we don't actually have control. We are in fact just providing a restream here, so you get our lovely commentary plus the camera control of someone else. Night Stalker maybe going to get caught here. That Slardar combination with Tidehunter is going to be able to do a lot of damage with that amp. I think we're going to see Night Stalker go down here.
Yeah.
Will we see an ultimate out of Tidehunter? No, we don't even need to. Windrunner with the great power shot.
Absolutely, once again.
I want to compliment Tulex there because he's been playing so very, very well.
He's as far as this game's gone so far, he's the MVP for sure. I mean, he was in that tri lane where they shut down the Drow, and in all these team fights, just having such a huge impact. So, some great play from him.
Absolutely. Looks like Drow Ranger probably going for a BKB. Smart choice, just because there's so much shutdown on the part of SGC. But SGC is up to 12 kills. They're 4 kills ahead. A lot of creep stat. Very poised to take this game, you know?
Ah, completely agree. EHOME really going to have to start coming up with some answers soon, because they're going to see these tier 2 towers going down soon, and that's going to give SGC an even bigger gold advantage. They've got the Aegis as well, and that Drow with very little in terms of items. Does have a Morbid Mask, which is the lifesteal, but an Ogre Axe as well, or Ogre Club, I think it is in this.
If you're Tide. Oh, Tide just surviving by the skin of his teeth. A big ultimate out of Venomancer there. Hits all 5 members. But so much time being devoted to that Tidehunter, the rest of his team is able to get around there and do a lot of damage to both Venomancer and Earthshaker. We will see good bounces there on that Mirana, but they're not able to capitalize there. And you know what's really interesting here is we haven't seen like any participation in. That's the first team fight we've seen Weaver in, and you know even without that carry, they're such strong play from SGC. Will they be able to get Night Stalker? I think they might, if we can get another power shot from Windrunner. Ah, no, he's got Earn Charges. My bad.
Not going quite how SGC would have liked that fight to
go. You know, that's what EHOME needs to do is force the issue there. Looks like we're going to see a mech use out of Tulex. Is he going to be able to get away? Yeah, he's going to shoot back.
And yeah, they just overextended a bit there. It went a bit too far, and they Tidehunter getting taken down so low and then just forced around the fight. They just didn't use their items like their Force Staff and Mech how they'd like to. Windrunner used Mech a bit prematurely because he was just trying to keep the Tidehunter alive longer.
Right.
Whereas, and then, I mean, stuff like that Force Staff where Tide got forced down the cliff. I mean, it was just, the items weren't used how they'd like, and they just weren't in position and just fully overextended there, really.
Right. Well, that will provide a couple kills for EHOME there. They are up to about 11 kills, 3 down from SGC, and they're in a position to try and begin closing that gap. The question is if SGC will continue to make mistakes like that. Slaughter taking out Venomancer with the help of Weaver. Mirana did try an ultimate, I think. Yeah, she did. But it was not enough.
And it looks like Priest is going for a Silent Stick here. It does have one Oblivion Staff, I think another Oblivion Staff on stash, and almost has actually finished that Silent Stick. So they're going to have a lot of silence, and this is going to make it very hard for Weaver to stay alive. I mean, they've got the Night Stalker silence, the Drow silence, and a Silent Stick being made on Priestess. As far as item choice for Weaver, Weaver basically needs to go for a BKB or maybe a Manta Style, something that can dispel these silences from him. So, I mean, not often you see me saying Weaver should get BKB, but this is one of those games where Weaver does need a BKB, I feel.
Absolutely. Now, it's sort of interesting because we've seen Weaver's got 101 creep kills. He's been farming top, but he has, like, no items, which is a little bit unusual because I think he's been farming pretty much the entire game.
Yeah, I mean, he had a few deaths. I mean, you remember, like, Priestess getting a solo kill on him and moments like that. I think this Weaver has been underperformed.
Venomancer getting hit by that big shackle shot and power shot. That's another 2 kills, both Night Stalker and Venomancer going down. Tulex, wow. that Windrunner is still just absolutely ridiculous as an asset to his team.
Yeah, if this Weaver was playing as well as the Windrunner, this game would be over right now.
Absolutely. And you know, Windrunner is one of those heroes where like you can play it really well or really poorly, and it's always a treat to see them play it well. You know.
Oh, I know.
There's just so much room. Sorry, go ahead.
No, when those shackle shots are hitting, they just make all the difference in any team fight. Especially if you shackle 2 heroes together, it's just insane how much of a big difference it makes and how long a disable it actually is.
Checking for Roshan. Roshan not up. Sentinel doing a good job. So now you've got me saying it. Radiant doing a good job of keeping an eye on that bottom area, on that Roshan area. And Roshan should be respawning pretty soon. Couple minutes.
Yeah, next couple minutes, I'd say. But yeah, I remember saying they took it at 20 minutes, so it'll be around 30 minutes that it is back into play.
I'd imagine this time around... Oh, it looks like Orchid has finished for Mirana. A lot of silence there.
Oh, Weaver's just going to be struggling to do anything, I feel.
Yeah. There will be tears. Looks like we see all 5 members of the SGC headed bottom, or at least into the jungle.
Look to be maybe smoked, are they? Or they're at least backing up this Weaver. No, Windrunner's there as well, so they just want this tier 2 tower, and I don't think EHOME are going to be in position to defend it. They've only got 2 heroes there. The other 3 are coming in, but right now only Veno and Nightstalker there.
Yeah, that Focus Fire is just going to go down so fast.
I don't think we've got anything like a blink on ES anytime soon. Potom using ulti. Arrow leap. Ooh.
Ultimate hitting 3 members of the Radiant and a Dust coming out as well. They're really determined to shut down that Weaver. So much damage coming out of that Slardar. Wow, big stuns all around. So much death. The health so low on all the heroes. Everybody going down. Earthshaker running away for his life. He is going to go down. Drow getting taken out as well. And that's an absolute genocide. EHOME going down. Triple kill for Slardar.
That is an amazing fight from SGC. They arrow missing, and then they still went in after that. They basically walked into a huge Ravage, Witch Doctor cast, and Witch Doctor ulti did a huge amount of damage. I mean, Witch Doctor ulti lasts the entire duration, was just hitting people constantly, and then Slardar with the BKB does a huge amount of damage as well. So SGC causing a huge upset here by the looks of it. If they can pull this out here, they are going to take this bottom ranks.
Yeah, I think they're going to drop the bottom racks. I don't see Venomancer and Earthshaker being able to stop them. Should be able to get that melee racks, and then maybe the range. Yeah, they're going to go for the range racks too, and then go retreat and do Roshan. Definitely, you know, if you're EHOME here, what do you do? What's your reaction to the state of affairs? I mean, it feels like they just underestimated SGC.
Oh, I mean, I don't know about underrated. They've just been making... they're not going to underrate any team. It's more... They're just not playing as smart as they should. I mean, you look at that fight there where they think, okay, we'll use this Priestess ulti and just go in, but they just ran right into huge amounts of AoE, a tied Ravage, Slardar with a BKB. They're just picking bad fights, and that was never going to be a fight that they were going to win. So, well, they need to just choose much smarter fights and play a lot sharper Dota, really.
Yeah, and you know, this is not they're a better team than this, let's put it that way. You know, this is the team that came in second at the International, so, you know, we would like to see them with a stronger performance. Slardar actually picking up a Reaver and quickly moving towards a Heart.
Yeah, not a fan of that as an item choice. I mean, it's just a very passive defensive item. I mean, sure, it's great for taking out, but he could be getting something like a Blink Dagger, or just something that could basically add to his actual damage in these team fights. I mean, he's got the BKB, which is going to keep him alive in these team fights regardless, so going for a Heart, just not that... I mean, it's not going to be a bad item choice, but I think that would be better. I mean, going for a Blink Dagger, even something like a Desolator, just to give him huge amounts of damage would be a better item choice here. We do see Drow with a BKB, although I think it may be too little, too late, as it is 32 minutes in now, and Scourge Dire with just so much farm.
You sound a little bit skeptical about the 32-minute BKB.
Well, what do you think? A 32-minute BKB?
I agree completely. It is one of those things where
and you farm faster than this Drow, let's just say.
Yeah, it's one of those things where if they'd been able to get the BKB on the Drow, it would have been a lot better. And it looks like all 5 members of SGC moving around here, continuing to pressure that bottom lane, make sure that the creeps are pushing in. Wow, look at that gold difference. 15,000 gold up for the Dire.
Huge. I mean, just looking at this Scourge team, I mean, a BKB on Drow's not even going to help a whole lot. I mean, Weaver's all physical damage. Slanna, you can still amp damage the Weaver, and you can still do physical damage. And then the Witch Doctor ulti as well can just go through BK. Doesn't matter if you use BKB. So BKB not going to really keep the Drow even alive in these team fights, I feel. So I'm not saying it's a bad item choice. I think it probably was the best item choice given the situation, but it's not going to make a huge difference regardless of when it comes into play.
Mm-hmm. Completely true. So it looks like SGC is going to continue the aggression, which makes sense. I mean, when you're ahead, you want to stay ahead. You want to continue just putting on the pressure, putting on the heat, and there's just so little that EHOME. It really feels like EHOME can do here against that Ravage, against that Slardar.
Especially considering they have an Aegis as well.
And they've got I don't know if you caught that. Witch Doctor has a medallion as well.
Yeah, I think he got that I think he got that practically as his first item this game. He got it very quickly.
Well, I just now noticed that, and that's. I mean, you throw that with the amplify damage there, and Gush.
Yeah.
That's a lot of minus armor.
Yeah, you think Night Stalker with 2k HP is quite tanky, but no, he's gonna still go down very quickly if he does get gushed, medallion. Weaver Swarm. I mean, they've got all their heroes with some kind of minus armor practically, and that's
really, really gross. That's just disgusting, almost.
What heroes with minus armor? Everyone except the Windrunner can lower your armor.
And that just adds up to so much. It looks like they're going to continue to sort of ducking in here, keeping the creep waves pushed, keeping. The bottom lane's obviously going to continue pushing itself. It looks like we are hitting a little bit of lag here from Toby's stream. Let's see if I can clean that up. I think we're in the twilight for EHOME. There is a chance for them to come back, but it's definitely slimming.
I'd say it's very slim. Just look at these support heroes on the Dire. Tidehunter almost has a Shiver's Guard. Have you seen a Tidehunter with a Mystic Staff plate mail and just needs 80 more gold to get a Shiver's Guard? This is a Tidehunter we're talking about.
Right.
Farming up Shiver's Guard.
Right.
That's something almost unheard of in a competitive Dota game. But it's happening here, and this tower will go down.
And once that happens, they're in. I mean, they're not fighting up the ramp anymore. They're able to push into that base.
Well, they're still fighting up the ramp and into fog, but they're not having to worry about the tower, which the tower actually does. It pretty much acts as like a 6th hero in some ways because of the amount of damage it does do if you do decide to dive in. Not to mention it sort of basically can be used as a wall, and you can use it basically for better positioning behind the tower. And it looks like, here we go.
They're moving up. The wards are not going to be enough to stop them. We see Venom Stray catching about 3 members of the Radiant. Big Ultimate catching 1 or 2 Dire. But that Ravage is just going to do so much damage. Buyback from Venomancer. Will he be able to get back here and save the day? Witch Doctor maybe going to go down here. No, he just barely survives. His ward's doing quite a bit of damage. And seeing a lot of buybacks from EHOME, I think they realize that this is pretty much their siren song, if you will. Yeah,
they're keeping their racks alive, though, by the looks of it. They're holding on by the skin of their teeth at the moment.
Yeah, and, they had to use a couple buybacks, but it's going to keep them alive. And if they can get a couple kills here, they may be able to do something of a counter push. We do see Tide going down. He's out for 60 seconds.
You can't go down by 4 racks. You can go around 2 racks and still win a game, but going down 4 racks, that's when it gets ridiculously hard to actually win a game. I mean, it's not impossible, but it just gets so much harder compared to being down just 1 lane, because then you have 2 lanes constantly pushing in that you have to defend. Having 1 lane to push out is something you can cope with, but 2 lanes, not something that I could see EHOME coming back from. But with just the bottom racks down, they are still in this was the chance, although it is a very, very slim one. And Manta Style actually up on Weaver, so going to be able to use that Manta Style to get rid of some of these silences. If Drow or Night Stalker or even the Priestess with the silencing, you can just pop that Mantis and it actually dispels the silence.
Right. And we did see Windrunner pick up a Scythe of Vice, also known as a Sheepstick, also known as a Ginsu. So that will give them, an extra CC, which should be really quite crucial in some of these team fights. And I think we may see the GG push shortly.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, it's not about how the farm on EHOME's carries. I mean, Drow's actually caught up a bit, but looking at the support heroes, I don't think ES has a blink. I haven't actually seen ES lately, but I don't think he even has a blink. Venomancer had just sort of like arcane boots. And look at these Scourge Man, dire support heroes, Tine Hunter with Shivers, Witch Doctor with Medallion, as well as I'm sure like some other kind of big item as well. Just from all this tower gold, just allows all these SGC support heroes as well as their carries to get more and more farmed. And yeah, there Earthshaker doesn't have a blink dagger, has boots and bracer and some obs wards. So
definitely not where you want your Earthshaker at 38 minutes.
Yeah.
So that tower has regened a little bit. It is about 60% instead of half. We were wondering in, but great thing by the Dire, they do have a ward up there, giving them visibility up there and big Tide Ravage. Venomancer going down to Weaver, Night Stalker's forced to retreat, and so much damage on that Mirana there from Slardar. Yeah, I think this is probably it. They are, of course, on that cooldown for buyback, as well as probably not having the gold. And
yeah, and wasting all their gold on buyback just means they don't have any sort of items to compete with this SGC team, and so it looks like we have seen a big upset here.
Absolutely. I'd have to check on the stats, which I can't do without going on a full screen mode, but I'm pretty sure that, EHOME is like 80% or something, absolutely ridiculous, on GoSuBet. So
84%. 84%.
Wow, that's
so
a
there's gonna be some
huge upset.
Happy campers.
Yeah,
for the
absolutely.
GoSuBet contest, people who bet on SGC are going to be in great position here.
They really are. And, for those of you who are wondering, we are giving out 40 keys to the beta for the top 40 GoSu bettors at the end of ESWC. So, if you're not betting on these matches, you should be. Just go to gosugamers.net/Dota2. We've got more contest info there. So we do.
Yeah, but it's not too late. I mean, you'll be starting a bit behind, but trust me, there's so many games that you can always catch up in the actual GoSuBet.
Absolutely. And for those of you who bet on EHOME, make sure to hit reset. We'll be right back with another match very soon.
Yeah, so EHOME just not really bringing it there. I think that they love having hard carries, but they'd much rather have a Spectre or